Today, we're going to have to do Mr. Pokke's job for him, man. We're going to have to do Mr. Pokke's job for him. Okay, you retards in his comment section, you think you're safe over there? Well, guess what, buddy? You are not. Today, we are doing a comment review for Mr. Pokke's comments. He shit-talked you on Dantes. Send me the clip. He wouldn't do that. That's my baby boy. He wouldn't do that. And I'm not going to be goaded by my community to think, or one bad egg into actually thinking that. So we're going to talk about this shit here real quick. So Mr. Pokke uploaded the video that I had his consent, or he had my consent to actually upload here. And as per usual, Mr. Pokke's comment section proves to be the biggest conglomerate of retards there are on the internet. And we're going to go ahead and get into this. And let me tell you why it's not Mr. Pokke's fault. Let me tell you why it's not Mr. Pokke's fault. Because he panders to Genshin Impact players. Okay? His community's been poisoned ever since he started to pretend to like this game, which, by the way, he doesn't actually like the game. You can ask him yourself. He likes this game less than Wuthering Waves. Okay? And that might break your heart, but that's just the reality, man, is that Mr. Pokke is just as bad as me, only I don't lie about it. Okay? So we're going to go into here and we're going to see these comments that are saying shit like, zero cycling is fun, Tectone, stop having fun. I'm going to show these people, and I'm going to go through every single comment and show you why I do mean that this comment section is the biggest group of retards on Earth. Now, Mr. Pokke did say verbatim that he bans these people from his chat, but maybe this went underneath his his radar. Sorry, my brain's just fucked up. I just woke up this morning. So we're going to go through every single one of these. Okay, do you want to know what is a truly waste of time arguing with Tectone? Do you want me to tell you why people say this, chat? You ready for this? Let me tell you why people say this. So the reason why people say this is because they come in with a false perception or a false narrative of how I think or how I feel. They state it as reality. I explain to them that that's not my point. I explain to them my real point. They realize there was no argument to begin with, but that's not very good content now, is it? Now, here's a really fun one. And I'm going to show you case in point of this. The second top comment on this entire video, which took me about 2 seconds to pull up proof that completely dismantles this. Mr. Pokke, zero cycling is fun. Tectone, stop having fun. So this is a comment of pretending like I don't know that zero cycling is fun. Now, how many of you guys believe that that was my stance? That I didn't think zero cycling was fun, or that I didn't think people could zero cycle to have fun. Let's just go ahead and see what past Tectone thought. Here's just a clip from 2 days ago, before those videos were published. Let's hear previous Tectone's thoughts. If you think that zero cycling is for anything other than for funsies, you're just wrong. So I want to just make sure that we all get this. That the top voted comments in this video that people are perceiving as reality, that these many people in this community were allowed to push and pander towards, are complete misrepresentations of what I said, what I felt, and people believe them en masse because they want me to be the boogeyman. So I am curious, do you not understand how irritating that is? You said it's a waste of time. Yes, it is. I also said video games are a waste of time. Do you want to know my whole stance? Here's my whole stance so nobody can ever misunderstand this ever again. Zero cycling is a waste of time. It is for fun only. In other video games like Mario, where people like to push the limits of the game and do fun challenges, that's fine, because it's not a live service game. Honkai Star Rail is a live service game. And when content creators have to get to a spot where they now have to start making the content for the game, rather than the company who we give millions of dollars to, it sets off a red flag in my head. Zero cycling is also an objective waste of time when you go in expecting more resources for doing something better. You get nothing better by doing zero cycling. So as far as getting more in-game rewards, it is a waste of time. However, people can have fun however they want. The problem is the people who choose to do these fun objectives, these fun challenges, often get a sense of elitism, of which I don't like. And they project that if you don't play the game that way, then you are inferior to them. And that's the problem that I have. Now, that's a very nuanced take, and I expect people to not understand nuance. But here's the problem. This guy right here, Chrome Dome Freak, tries to understand nuances for 42 minutes. Impossible. You know what's crazy about that? It's the exact fucking opposite, which is why I had to pull out a fucking notepad to explain it. But these people want you to think that I'm this fucking psychotic dumbass. So much so, they're willing to forego logic. They're willing to forego the proof that's right in front of them just so they can continue to paint me as a dumbass. Because that's how much of a my back against the wall situation I was. I had to pop my ultimate and bust out the fucking notepad. I think people are taking this as you saying 0 cycles is wrong, of which I've never said. Now, I understand, that's a great point. This is how people are taking it. But the thing is, guys, and internet, I'm sure you'd agree with this, we don't really need to make up things that I didn't say to make me look like a dumbass. I'm quite sure I'll make myself look like a dumbass with something that I've said probably in the next month or so. So we don't need to rush things because we're bored and just make things up. It is quite insane. Let's read another one. I really like the part where Tectone starts adding to his argument to make it seem like Mr.Pokke is misrepresenting his point while acting like this is what he told Mr.Pokke when he said no such thing and acts as if they have no quarrel. Really great way to resolve this dispute. Such quick thinking by Tectone. So the thing is that Mr.Pokke came in with a half-cooked misrepresentation of what I was saying that he was goaded into by his community by being said, oh, Tectone said this, Tectone said that, Tectone said this. Okay, he also didn't realize that the thing that I said on stream was not what I said. It was me reading a chatter's message of like the little block game that you play with. You take the shapes, you take the square peg and you put it in the square hole. You know what I'm saying? I said this multiple times, and for some reason, Mr.Pokke was misunderstanding this. I said, if you have all E6 units and you wail out of your mind, 0 cycles and MOC are very easy. Now, the crazy thing is that he disagreed with that. And he said, if you wail, you can't just 0 cycle. And then I went onto his account and I pressed the auto button and I 0 cycle with Don Hung. So it is a very accurate take. You can 0 cycle if you spend enough money. There is 0 flaws in that logic. That is an objective truth. If you spend enough money, you can beat Memory of Chaos on auto in a 0 cycle. It's just the fucking truth. Mr.Pokke himself admitted that with an E6 Acheron. Now, the only point that Mr.Pokke was really fighting for was that there was a very, very specific part in Memory of Chaos clears where if you're like just on the brink of being strong enough to 0 cycle it and you got to figure it out yourself, then it is skill-based, to which I agreed to. The problem is finding that specific margin is usually bullshit. It is very difficult, and it is like, well, was it really? Did you really? You do have an E2 Don Hung, you do have an E2 Ruan May, right? And then for the E0 S1 cycle we saw, even from, I believe it was called a contractor formerly known as Dreamy, even he said, oh, well, that's one of the easiest memory chaoses of all time. So even the E0 low free-to-play clears are usually also discredited and bullshit as well. That's why I think the whole thing is pretty hard to weigh in on what's skill-based and what's not. Now, the thing that I will go for saying that I do think is bullshit is the tournaments. I think the Honkai Star Rail cycle tournaments are a cringe slop fest with artificial rules that make no fucking sense, where you go account versus account and try to pretend to see who's the best at clearing the content the fastest, where the only way to actually get to a point where we know who's better and who's not at a game is by putting them on the same fucking account. And that's just the fucking truth, okay? And that's why when I went on to Mr.Pokke's account and I intended to do what he wanted me to do, I acknowledged that I was not as good as him as Honkai Star Rail. He plays far more than me. He takes the game far more seriously than me. And of course, with that, he is better than me at Honkai Star Rail. Now, when it comes to FPS, bowling, being 6'6", obviously I'm better than him at those. But we're all better at things than other people. But the people who want to come into Mr. Pokke's community, make all these fake ass comments, upvote them and pretend that I've said things that I didn't say, or hold previous stances that I've had in the past that I've since become more educated and moved on from, yet still want to hold me accountable for a previous way of thinking, even though I've acknowledged the mistake of, well, I actually quite enjoy Zero Cycles now, are just petty, delusional, miserable motherfuckers that, I'm going to be real, will all leave the moment Mr. Pokke says, I don't like Genshin Impact. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that shit. They are fickle motherfuckers and should not be pandered to. I would not trust anybody in my community, let alone anybody in my comment section, who would be willing to go and lie and be so ignorant to not fact check these things that are being said in my videos en masse. It's a shame. It's a joke. And I think it's unhealthy for the community. I would not want anybody saying that shit about my friends. Once again, there's nothing against Mr. Pokke, but I don't think that he understands how bad it is that there's this many people in his comment section that are this willing to misrepresent and badmouth me over things that I didn't say or no longer believe. It's pathetic. It's a joke. And this isn't a message to Mr. Pokke. This is a message to these retards in his chat. Mr. Pokke is one of my favorite people I've ever met. We met in real life, and I know it drives a lot of y'all crazy that we're friends. And I know it would piss you off for him to even release a video saying that we're friends. I know you like to believe that he's neutral, but Mr. Pokke and I are very tight, and I respect the guy a lot. But going into his comment section, attempting to cause discourse between two friends, not gonna lie, it's weird as fuck. It really is. You should be ashamed. Anyways, that's just my opinion. Catch y'all motherfuckers in the next one. Oh, and also, final one. Comparing zero cycling to masturbating the... Such an unfair and stupid comparison. Such a dishonest take. So let's explain this one real quick. This is a real juicy one. This is a real juicy one. So the argument was, well, if it's fun, then it's right. As long as the person's enjoying it, then they're right. That's just not the truth. And it's very easy for people to understand when you give them extreme comparisons. Fun isn't always right. These are the three examples I gave. People have sex with goats and they enjoy it. People jerk off to anime children and they enjoy it. Some people eat gallons of ice cream every day and they enjoy it. There are things in this world where too much is bad and fun doesn't mean correct. It's very easy to make someone understand that a point is fundamentally untrue when you give an extreme. However, mainly that's just for shock value, and then you can give a more level-headed approach. But fun isn't always right. I'm sure we all agree that fun is a massive detractor of people wanting to become productive and successful. That is just the truth. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys can probably acknowledge that you've probably skipped work or skipped a homework assignment, or maybe got behind on bills because you were too busy playing League of Legends or a gacha game, or maybe you misspent on a gacha game, spent $10,000s of dollars that you didn't fucking have on a character you wanted, and I'm sure that was very fun, but fun doesn't always mean right, and there are some times where having fun in certain ways isn't correct, and that's pretty much all I was saying. It's a very simple, straightforward point. Just because someone's enjoying it actually doesn't mean that it's good. And that's all I was saying. I feel like it's a pretty straightforward take, and if you don't understand that, well, Jesus Christ, that is rough. But yeah, I'll see y'all motherfuckers later. I'm out.